Welcome, everyone. We're so grateful that you're here today, and welcome to the 62nd National Conference of the Mortarboard National Honor Society. I am Cassandra Lucas, and I was initiated into the Barbara Cook chapter at Purdue University. It is a great honor to serve as your national president, and I'm excited to be here with you today as we come together to learn more about mortarboard, engage in leadership development, conduct the business of our society, celebrate the accomplishments of our award winners, and connect with fellow mortarboards. Over the course of the weekend, you will have a chance to meet with other collegiate members, advisors, alumni, and award winners. You will also meet many national leaders who are here to ensure that you have the best conference experience possible. Each volunteer leader is a mortarboard member who has embraced their lifelong membership to mortarboard. We are thrilled to pass the torch of leadership to each of you as you prepare for your collegiate year in mortarboard. To help us recognize you throughout the weekend, please rename yourself with your name and institution. To do so, click the 3 dots in the top right hand of your screen and select Rename. We are also excited to welcome you into the mortarboard community. Mortarboard members come from many different backgrounds and experiences, and we represent different majors and disciplines, different parts of our campus community, and different walks of life. All of us come together as scholars, chosen for leadership, committed to service, and united for equity. As we get started, let's spend a little time getting acquainted and learning more about the various groups we have attending this year's conference. As I introduce you, please wave and drop a greeting in the chat so we can see the many different roles and mortarboards we have represented here today. First, I'd like to start with the conference planning team. Our conference planning team has been working hard to plan this year's conference and ensure you all have the best experience possible. You will see them introducing sessions around every corner this weekend at the conference. They are here to support you and are the glue that holds this weekend together. It is my honor to welcome our foundation trustees. Without foundation support, this conference could not be possible. The Mortarboard National Foundation was established in 1955 as the fundraising arm of Mortarboard. Its mission is to support mortarboard in furthering our ideals of scholarship, leadership, and service. Each year, the Mortarboard National Foundation awards fellowships for alumni for graduate study, and in 2025, they awarded $40,000 in fellowships. You'll have a chance to meet several of our fellows this weekend and learn more about the foundation in other sessions. Foundation trustees, thank you for your continued support for Mortarboard. Up next, I'd like to welcome our National Council. The National Council is made up of Mortarboard alumni and 2 student representatives at large. We serve as the official governing body between conferences. The National Council members are committed volunteers who work throughout the year to set our annual budget and the Society's strategic direction. You will see our National Council members throughout the conference this weekend. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce our region coordinators. These volunteer leaders are your most vital link to the national organization. They partner with chapters to offer guidance on national requirements, support questions or issues that you may face, and celebrate your successes throughout the year. We have 6 regions across the United States. Throughout the weekend, you'll meet with your region and get to know your team of region coordinators. Welcome, region coordinators. This year, we are thrilled to welcome over 25 advisors to our national conference. Advisors are the glue that holds our chapters together year after year on our campuses. They play a critical role in supporting our collegiate members, providing guidance to our executive boards, and supporting your chapters on your campuses. We could not be more thrilled to have these advisors with us here today. I would also like to welcome our other alumni who are here today. From committee chairs to award winners to new council members who will be installed this weekend, welcome to the National Conference. And next, I'd like to welcome you, our collegiate members. This conference is meant for you to kick off your year with Mortarboard, to provide you with strategic direction and guidance as you lead your chapters, and to give you vital leadership skills to continue to be a leader of leaders. And last, but certainly not least, I am pleased to introduce our national office. The national office team is based in Columbus, Ohio, and works tirelessly to keep our national organization running. Led by our executive director, Dr. Kirsten Fox, the team has done a fantastic job making sure this conference is a great success. So again, without further ado, welcome to our national conference. Each of you in this room is part of Mortarboard. Your unique experiences have brought you to this place, to this precise moment in our history. This weekend, each of you will create new histories for Mortarboard. You are the future of our organization, an organization that has served our campus communities and nurtured leaders who have changed the world for 107 years. And one more thing before we move on. You will hear about a giraffe in a variety of ways this weekend. I've incorporated the giraffe as part of my national presidency for the past 2 years, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to share it with you again at this year's conference. You see, as a Mortarboard, you are like a giraffe. You are different from the rest of the crowd. You commit to leadership, scholarship, service, and equity when you could be doing a number of other things, especially on a Saturday and Sunday in July. You stand taller and see more clearly what needs to be done. In fact, you look for improvements that you can make. You have a longer neck, and you are willing to stick it out for some issue you believe is important, and you take a stand. And finally, you don't make a lot of noise, but when you do, people listen. You are willing to speak out for matters you believe are important, and don't just talk, but say something. So keep an eye out for that giraffe throughout the weekend. And I would like to turn it over to Mortarboard's Executive Director, Kirsten Fox, to introduce us to the national office staff and walk you through the schedule for this weekend.
Thank you, Cass. You have been an incredible national president, and I look forward to having everybody get to know you better this weekend. The Mortarboard National Conference 2025 is happening only because of the hard work of the conference planning team and the national office team, who have been working endlessly behind the scenes to create the best experience possible for you, our members. I have the joy of working with this great team, and it is my privilege to introduce them to you today. You may not know everyone yet, but by the end of the weekend, and definitely by the end of your collegiate year, you will know our team well. National office team, if you are able to wave when I introduce you. First, we have Olivia Beckett, our administrative coordinator. Olivia is part of the Columbus team, where our national headquarters is located, and was initiated as a collegiate member at The Ohio State University in 2024. Olivia is headed to law school in a month, so while she is leaving her role in the national office, I'm ecstatic that she will start as a region coordinator for Region 3. Our newest team member officially joins us on Monday. Jackie Huff is a familiar name around Mortarboard. A 2019 initiate at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, Jackie has served as an RC for the past 3 years and was even the recipient of the Region Coordinator of the Year Award in 2024. Jackie will officially be leaving her volunteer role and joining our office as the Communications and Engagement Manager. Many of you know Ben Phlox, or you have at least received emails from him upon being selected into Mortarboard. Ben is our Membership and Operations Manager and has the privilege of being the first person to welcome our newest initiates into the society. He was initiated as an honorary member this past spring at his alma mater, Denison University. In addition to being a master of all things trivia, Ben is also our resident database expert. I admire his patience and willingness to always help. Needless to say, he is definitely the person I call on when I have questions, and I encourage you to also reach out to Ben with any questions this weekend or throughout the year. Also on our Columbus team is Liz Cook, our Director of Strategic Advancement. Liz is quick to improve a process, able to think both big picture and fine detail, and always bringing sharp insight with an engineering mindset and her creative flair. She's our Jill of all trades and somehow a master of them all. From data analysis to editing, alumni and donor engagement, and even serving as our in-house photographer and resident crafter, Liz does it all with humor, heart, and an incredible creativity. Liz will be a key partner to all of our chapters in your fundraising efforts. And last, but certainly not least, we have Trish Maxwell, our Director of Collegiate Success. Trish was initiated as an honorary member into the Ohio State chapter at last year's in-person conference, and ever since, she's fully embodied the spirit of Mortarboard. I like to call her #ChapterBoss because she is your go-to things for everything related to collegiate and chapter initiatives. She's a tireless advocate for our student members, our advisors, our region coordinators, and she will continually offer support, guidance, and inspiration, often literally around the clock. Trish is also the guiding force behind this weekend's conference. Every session, every detail, every behind-the-scenes moment has her thoughtful leadership woven throughout. Trish is joining us from her home base in beautiful upstate New York. Trish, we're lucky to have you leading the way. And I'm Kirsten Fox. I was initiated into Mortarboard at The Ohio State University over 25 years ago and have the joy of continuing my involvement ever since. I have served as a chapter advisor at both the University of Maryland, go Terps, and Denison University, and I'm now in my current role. I am joining you today from our national office in Columbus, Ohio, where I have the distinct honor and privilege of serving as your executive director. So why do I have the best job? Because I get to work with this brilliant team, but also incredible student leaders like you, support our amazing chapters, and collaborate with a truly dedicated team of volunteers and alumni that believes deeply in the power of scholarship, leadership, and service. Working alongside our incredible alumni and volunteers and the national leaders you will meet this weekend will allow you the chance to see people who will continue to give their time, energy, and wisdom to support our next generation of leaders. Their commitment is the heartbeat of our organization, and their impact will be felt in every chapter and every member experience. It's truly a joy to witness the difference that our Mortarboard members make on their campuses and beyond, and to play a part in helping that legacy grow. I am absolutely thrilled to join Cass in welcoming you to the National Conference. We're so glad you're here, and we can't wait to get started. So you've heard about us, which will help you identify who is who over the next 2 days. However, as Cass mentioned, this conference is all about you, especially our student members. Each of you is a part of what makes Mortarboard great, and we want to know you. Again, if you have not done so already, we ask that you change your name by including your chapter or college and perhaps your role. So I see that right now for many of you with your institutions. If you haven't, just add your institution and again, maybe your officer role if you would like. We encourage you to keep your camera on as much as possible and use the Zoom chats to create conversation. And with that, it is my pleasure to walk us through the conference agenda and share more about what you can expect this weekend. You can follow along on page 3 of the conference program. Also, after this welcome, you will hear, if you look at the agenda, you can see we will start with the welcome. After this welcome, you will hear the conference keynote, Dr. Tamara McMillan, who will talk about embracing your strengths and leave a meaningful legacy. I can't wait for you to hear from her. She's fantastic. Following her speech, we'll head into region meetings where students will get to know each other in their regions, and advisors and alumni will also connect and network. We will give you breaks, and after that first short break, we will learn the importance of governance in our society, a society which has been student governed for 107 years. This will give you the tools you need for our business meeting to provide your voice and vote. At our business meeting, we will have roll call, meet the student representative at large candidates, and consider an amendment to our national bylaws. Again, your voice and vote is very important. After the business meeting, we'll be joined by some of last year's incredible student leaders who will share their tips and best practices on chapter operations panels. You will get to choose your own session for the chapter operations panels, as well as the leadership development sessions that will immediately follow. And then we'll quickly touch base as we wrap up a very busy, but it will go fast, day 1. Tomorrow, we'll briefly meet before breaking into position-based meetups where you can connect with others around the country in similar officer roles. You'll meet with your region again to learn key content about leading your chapter this upcoming year. And then we'll come back for our closing business meeting. After yet another break, you'll choose your chapter operations session and professional development session. And the conference will culminate in what is truly a very special reimagined candlelight celebration. Mortarboard's tradition celebrating all of our chapters, as well as key chapter and alumni awards. We'll end the conference by officially passing the gavel from our current national president to our new national president. And with that, I would now like to welcome Trish Maxwell to introduce our keynote speaker.
Thanks, Kirsten. Dr. Tamara McMillan is a nationally recognized leadership scholar, award-winning educator, and dynamic speaker who has spent more than 2 decades transforming individuals and institutions across corporate, government, higher education, and nonprofit sectors. As the founder of McMillan Empowerment Enterprise in New York and Umber Gray Solutions in Georgia, Dr. McMillan designs and delivers research-driven leadership experiences that inspire personal mastery, build inclusive cultures, and drive organizational performance. Her signature programs integrate the science of creative problem solving, emotional intelligence, and resilience to cultivate courageous and high-impact leaders. Dr. McMillan's academic credentials include a PhD in Creative Leadership for Innovation and Change from the University of the Virgin Islands, where her original research explored the transformational role of failure in leadership. At the heart of her work is a single mission: to empower people to use their own voice, sharpen their vision, and lead with unapologetic authenticity, while helping them reframe their perspective on failure through her revolutionary concept of failure fanaticism. I first met Tamara about 15 years ago on the campus of Buffalo State University, where we both worked in student affairs. We were handed the nearly impossible task of coordinating over 80 events in less than 6 weeks, in addition to our day jobs. And right away, I learned 2 things about her. First, she's a powerhouse, quick on her feet, relentlessly hardworking, and always ready to adapt. Second, and what's always stayed with me, Tamara leads with heart and integrity. She takes the time to truly know the people around her, creating spaces where authenticity is not just welcomed, but encouraged. Tamara has a gift for bringing out the best in others. She notices the small things, uplifts people for their contributions, and celebrates every win, big or small. Working with her was not just inspiring, it was energizing. And I know today she'll bring that same energy to all of us. So it is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce my friend and your keynote speaker, Dr. Tamara McMillan.
Oh my goodness, what do you say after that? I am emotional already in thinking about the beauty and the dynamicism of not only the relationship I've had at Buffalo State, but even thinking about some of the things that Trish just mentioned in talking about authenticity, leadership and scholarship, which Mortarboard is known for. It is quintessential for it. So thank you. Thank each and every one of you. Thank you, Kirsten, and thank you for all of the volunteers, the advisors. Wait a minute, Cass, you stole my heart when you said the giraffe. That is my favorite animal. I was just in South Africa last year, and I had an opportunity to take a picture in front of the tallest giraffe in Cape Town. So I know that I am in the right place. All of the individuals that have come before all of us here that understood the importance of such an honor society, the Mortarboard National Honor Society, and understanding that the mission was bigger than them. I stand in awe of each and every one of you, the volunteers, the advisors. Being a professor at the collegiate level, a former advisor, I know that it is tireless work. I know sometimes it's thankless work, but I thank you. I stand and clap for you, holding the gap. And last but certainly not least, to the scholars that decided to be here on this Saturday, when we know that time is the most important asset. It is, the matter of fact, the best way in which we pay compliment because it is the one thing that we cannot get back. I thank you for being here, and I'm hopeful that you find not only this kickoff address something that will fuel you for the rest of your lives, the next 2 days for this particular conference, but as you go on to do Dynamic, I am so honored to be here. And speaking of being here, I like to get to know who's in the room. So we heard a lot about all of the dynamic members of the Motor Board in terms of the regional directors, the actual leadership team. I'd like to hear a little bit about each and every one of you. So I have a question that is on the slide. I want you to think about what color you are today and why that's important, because our color, right, represents how we're showing up. So what color represents the ways in which you're not only showing up today for this particular conference, the kickoff, but the whole weekend, and why? So if you're feeling bright-eyed and bushy-tailed like I am, you can raise your hand, come off mute, or you can drop it in the chat, and we'll have some of the team help me kind of manage the chat and making sure that I get an opportunity to hear a lot of your examples. So are you grateful green? Are you radiant red? Are you bold black? Are you purposefully purple? Wow, listen, 44, 46. I love it. I love it. Trish, can you read some of them for me as they're coming in?
Oh, yeah. So we've got a lot of grateful greens and purposeful purples, but
Nice.
a healthy blend of all of them.
Wonderful. And so let me just give you a backdrop before we jump into the essence of this conversation. Self-awareness affords each and every one of us an opportunity to paint our environment using any hue, or should I say color, that we want. And this is what we're going to begin talking about today. So thank each and every one of you for dropping in the color that represents you right now and how you're going to show up. And what I want you to do is carry that through the next 2 days, carry that through and thinking about, what color am I today? What color am I today? And how am I going to use this color to make a world better than I found it, make this space, make this campus, make my community better than I found it? So we know good leaders, we're all good leaders. Good leaders stay in the lines. Bold leaders want to redraw them. So as we begin entering into this conversation, I want you to think about a time when you were reluctant to follow the line. You were reluctant to follow the rules, the regulations that were given to you as a scholar. You were reluctant because something just did not feel right. You were reluctant because maybe there was someone that was left out of the equation. Maybe there was a situation or a scenario that just didn't meet the moment, and you were thinking about all the ways in which you could redraw, all the ways in which you could redesign, all the ways in which you could turn the paper over and begin starting anew. Today, leaders, I want to share this with you. Leaders need more than fancy titles. We need more than dynamic degrees that sit on wonderful walls and beautiful frames. Leaders now, not right now, right now, we need boldness. It requires 3 things, and this is going to be the fabric for our conversation. So let me help each and every one of you before I get into this dialogue. These 3 points will not be anything new. They are not new under the sun. You have heard them before. However, I am hopeful under the guise of showing up as a dynamic, bold crayon, dynamic, bold color, you will begin looking at them very differently. So here are the 3 points. And I love word alliteration, just to let you all know. First and foremost, confidence. When we're thinking about bold leadership, it requires confidence. That means your authentic leadership. How are you coloring with your own hues? How are you bringing your full self into spaces that require them because your lens and your perspective and or your lived experiences are different, and they will offer a different backdrop, a different coloring of the environment or even the sky. I remember thinking about these 3 points when I was talking to Kirsten and Trish. I was like, okay, I want something cute, I want something inviting, but I want something that's going to have some staying power, because we have been inundated with a whole bunch of words, right? Some of them are good words. Some of them are words that maybe stay with us. Some of them are words that are just kind of swirling around us in our orbit. And we really haven't yet found out all of the ways in which we can place them in their appropriate compartment, if you will. Some of these words have been grafted onto us. And when I was thinking about confidence, Trish was like, tell them some of your story. And I'm like, no, I don't want to. Because when we're so close to the heartache, the pain, and the trauma of getting to a confident mindset, it takes knocking down or getting knocked down. It takes some scraping of the knee. It takes sometimes getting your lip busted and having to taste your own blood. But I will share this one story of how I really came into owning my confidence. As Trish mentioned, we worked together for 15 years ago for, I don't know, maybe about 15 or 20 years at Buffalo State University. It was Buffalo State College at the time. At that particular time, I was the associate director for leadership, and I was teaching a leadership class called the Foundations of Leadership. And around 2016, I want to say, we got a new director because our good friend, Eileen Merberg, Trish knows her really, really well. We had a really tight circle. She had gone on to be an executive director for another National Honor Society. We got a new interim director, a new director. And she had an opportunity to meet with all of them. So as the associate director, she met with me first, and then the assistants, et cetera, et cetera. So she asked me, she said, what is it that you love doing most about this job? And I said, oh, I love being in a classroom with my scholars. Very puzzled. She said, that's really not tied to student affairs. That's more in academic affairs. And puzzled, because I was, maybe even perplexed. I'm thinking, isn't everything that we do on this particular campus connected to our scholars, our body of work, the scholars? So she says, I'm writing it out of your job description because I don't believe it's in alignment with what it is that you should be doing as the associate director of leadership. Not to mention, I'm teaching the Foundations of Leadership. So I said, okay, fine. And in that moment, scholars, I had to make a decision. And I had to make a decision, and it required not only for me to think about how I was going to color my hue and paint my emotional sky, I had to show up in confidence for myself, because not only was the statement I found perplexing, it was disrespectful because I was teaching for free. None of the areas that I was responsible for as associate director were not thriving. As a matter of fact, they were at its peak, its premium. They'd never seen as many engaging numbers as they'd seen in under any other associate director for leadership. So I made the decision that I would walk away from my 20 plus year in higher education. I had permanent appointment, and that took confidence. I resigned. In August of 2016, my resignation letter was 2 sentences. Confidence. I want you to think about a crayon. I want you to think about this. A crayon does not walk into a room, into a space, and apologize for its color. It shows up and it adds value. And in that moment, it took me to understand I needed the confidence and I needed the strength to show up for myself and begin coloring in ways that were authentic to me, because there were things that I still needed to do. Your first point is confidence. How are you showing up in confidence and not making any excuses or apologizing for who you are when you show up? Point number 2. That requires then courage. So it just doesn't stop there, right? So I'm like, okay, yeah, Tamara, you're confident. Go, girl, go. Not so much. I needed to support that with courage. All too often, how many times? So again, I want you to raise your hand or give me a heart, give me thumbs up. You remember learning to color. Learning to color. What were some of the things that we were told when we were learning to color? You can come off mute. This is an exchange. This is an amazing conversation that we're having. What were some of the things that we were told when we were learning to color as kids?
To stay inside the lines.
Yes. And what's your name?
Maryvale.
Maryvale. Oh, thank you. Stay in the lines. And then if we didn't stay in the lines, then we felt what? Less than. We felt like we didn't make the mark. We felt like our picture was what? Not perfect and or pretty. Well, let me share this all with you. Perfect does not exist. So I'm going to rid your pretty little heads of that right now on today, July 19th, 2025. Perfect doesn't exist. You're supposed to stretch yourself. You're supposed to be stretched. Bold leadership is about redrawing the lines. Bold leadership is about disrupting norms. It is about seeing something and saying something. Seeing something and saying something. I think Kirsten said something about that earlier in her introduction. See something, say something. Bold leadership is about standing on the edge for the benefit of something that is bigger than ourselves. Even when it's uncomfortable, because most times it will be uncomfortable. It takes nerves. It takes guts. It takes courage to do something remarkable. Think about all of the leaders, all of the individuals, the professors, your advisors, all of the individuals that are around you, all the people that you will meet, and how dynamic they are. Not one of them have done anything that was worth mentioning without needing to draw outside the lines, or even redefining the way in which they view failure. Because if you're not failing, you're probably not stretching yourself enough, and which then you're probably not doing anything that's worth mentioning. I want to ask you this question, and if you're interested, please feel free to either drop it in the chat and answer, raise your hand, come off mute, or ponder on it and share the answer with maybe your advisor at a later time, maybe one of your pals that you get an opportunity to meet throughout this conference. But I want you to ask yourself, where and in what areas have you been playing small? Ooh, that hurt. What areas have you been playing small? And I promise you, about 10, 15% of you are playing small, because we've been told to color in the lines. We've been told to acquiesce. We've been told to fit into boxes and to contort to make other people feel comfortable about our brilliance and boldness. Leadership, bold leadership, is about having the confidence to stand on something that you believe in, and then having the courage to back it up. Having the courage to say the things that other people are fearful of saying. Marianne Williamson said this: if everyone is clapping for you, you're not quite right doing the stuff that you need to be doing. If everyone is clapping for you, most times you're probably going along to get along. If everyone is clapping for you, you're probably not redrawing or redesigning the lines because of one reason or another. Bold leadership requires confidence, supported by courage. And then the third point that I'm going to give you, collaboration. Now, when I was thinking about these 3 points to share with you all on today, collaboration was the one that came naturally to me. It came naturally to me because I had the benefit and the honor to sit at my mother's feet as the oldest daughter of 3 girls, and see the way that she had these dynamic connections, not only with her sisters, but with her sister girlfriends, the ways in which they held one another up, the ways in which they held one another down, the ways in which they held space for one another through heartache, heartbreak, divorce, unemployment, all of the things. Collaboration was a thing that I got instantly. And as Trish mentioned, it was Trish, it was Eileen, Kristen, Byrne, and myself, we were wonderful, bold, and brave women on that campus doing things with the smallest of resources, but because we understood it was bigger than each and every one of us, and we understood the collective of us. So when you're thinking about how you're going to go back into your campus and being even more dynamic than you are on today, being even more dynamic than you are today, who are you wanting to make masterpieces with? Who are you wanting to collaborate with? It's about reframing leadership. Collaboration is the competition. Forget what you hold. You heard it here first. Collaboration is the new competition. We don't need to be in collaboration with anyone. Remember that crayon. The crayon walks into a room and is not apologetic about who it is, what color it brings to the table, because it understands it offers value, just like each and every one of you. You don't need to be in competition with your colleagues. You need to be in collaboration, collegiality. You need to be in support of one another, because that's how we get things done. That's how we move the needle from one space to the next. That's how we create dynamic products and services and experiences, not only on our campuses, but in the world, together as a collective. Reframing leadership offers you this idea that I'm here to play my position. Think about sporting teams. I'm a sports fanatic. Basketball is my sport, but I watch primarily almost all of it. They have different people on the court, on the field, at different times based off of where they are, whether we're playing offense or defense, and based off of what? Their brilliance and boldness. Each and every one of you have something specific that you must do, and it cannot be delegated to anybody else. And it requires you to link up with someone else. Collaboration isn't about how can I show somebody up. Collaboration is how many individuals can I bring into my orbit? How many individuals can I bring into my space? And we all benefit from the light. It's all about illuminating one another when you're in alignment with what it is that you're supposed to be doing. I say this, when you know your why, nothing or no one can corrupt it. When you know your why, nothing or no one can corrupt it. Why are you here? How are you going to lend yourself to spaces that deserve to see you, to hear you, to benefit from you? Or are you going to sit back and allow other people to lead? I think you'd be doing all of us a disservice if you're not shining your light. And remember, when we shine our light, we give everybody else around us permission to do the same thing. So I told you what I was going to tell you. Now I'm going to tell you what I told you. Here's your call to action. I want you to think about the answer that you gave, whether it was in the chat, whether you came off mute, whether you wrote it in your wonderful journal, whether you dropped it inside of your phone. Your call to action is to think about, how are you going to show up from here on out as whatever color in that particular moment that you will be using to paint your environment for the benefit of others? What does that confidence look like for you? How will you share your confidence with the world in a way that allows them to come along for the ride? How will you stand on the vanguard? Because remember, if you're not standing on the edge, you're taking up too much space. And if you're taking up too much space, remember, you're probably not doing anything worth mentioning. Good leaders fall within the lines. Bold leaders redefine them, redraw them, redesign them. Secondly, courage. How are you going to be this courageous scholar, this courageous individual that understand that there's something burning within? There's something that needs to get out, and you have been scared to say it aloud. You have been scared to share it. You have been scared of your own boldness. because maybe you haven't found the right container, you haven't found the right space, you haven't found the right team. Well, maybe you're the team, maybe you're the space, maybe you're the plug, maybe you're the beginning and not the end. So, as opposed to waiting for someone to create what it is that you're lacking, have the courage with your confidence to create it yourself. And then the third, collaborate with that person. So I believe in having fans. I am a fan of a whole bunch of dope and dynamic women. And I tell them, we live in a society where it's faux pas to say, oh my goodness, Trish, I think you're dynamic. You're the dopest. You're still fly. I love everything about you. Trish shared that wonderful story about the ways in which we collaborated. But I'm going to tell you, Trish, what now? Her details, her attention to detail, her laser sharp focus is always on point. She signs up and she gives it her all. And I told this story to Christian when we were having a conversation about this particular conversation, the dialogue. Trish and I were in the student union, and one of those over 80 events that we were planning during Weeks of Welcome in 6 weeks to welcome our scholars back into the fold, and then the new scholars, and helping them do what? Understand the new space, navigate the landscape. And we were talking about this one particular event, and Trish was like, no, it's on Saturday, July 19th. And I was like, no, Trish, it's the 21st. She was like, nope, Tamara, it's the 19th. So we finished talking about the details outside of the date because I was holding on to the 21st. Y'all should have seen me, somebody dragging, holding on. I went back to my office, looked at my calendar, and sure enough, it was the 19th. I called her and I said, you were right. When you're confident and you have the courage to show up as you are and you understand the importance of collaboration, you are okay with owning your space, good, bad, and indifferent. I understood in that particular moment, she had all of the details sewn up and I did not. But that did not mean that I didn't have anything to offer. And the other thing too is because she understood my value like I understand her value. She never once not said, I don't want to collaborate with you anymore, Tamara. You don't know what you're talking about. You were holding on to the 21st and I told you it was the 19th. No, what we did was we honored the moment like we honored one another and understood that, guess what? Sometimes we fall off the game. Sometimes we forget things. That's why collaboration is so important. So before we get to the Q&A session, which is my fave, there's somebody on your campus that you want to collaborate with, somebody you're a fan of secretly, but you are fearful to say because you're not certain how they will respond to it. Don't worry about it. Own your space, show up as your color, paint the picture that you want to paint, and let them deal with the rest. So, this inspirational quote. Sometimes we have to see people as crayons. They may not be your favorite color, but you may need them to complete the picture. I needed Trish to complete my picture and in that moment, and I don't ever let her forget it because it does not minimize me. It illuminates both of us. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. So that was about 25 minutes. We have the next 5 minutes where I get an opportunity to hear from each and every one of you and things of that nature, because I would love to, right? I want to before, because I want to take these slides down because I want to be able to see all of your beautiful faces on the screen. I'm grateful. I'm thankful. Please, let's stay connected. Anybody have any needs, looking for anything in terms of another event, please feel free to reach out. Trish has my information. Here are my handles, website and email address, because I'd really, really love to stay connected with you. If there are any other questions that come up afterward, please believe this. What happens from here on out in terms of our relationship is entirely up to you. I've had scholars that have followed me from speaking engagements and invited me to their weddings. I've been invited to baby showers. I've gifted, gifts for baby showers. I'm here. And when the other speakers and advisors and the other dynamic individuals that you will meet along the way over this weekend say the same thing, take them on it. Take them on it. Take them on it. So I'm going to stop sharing right now. I'm going to blow the screen up. What questions? Yay! What questions? So you can either drop them in the chat. We have a couple members that will be looking in the chat and they will be reading your questions, or feel free to raise your hand or come off mute. However you'd like to do it. This is all about each and every one of you. It's all about each and every one of you. Oh my goodness, I love you guys so much. Take me with you.
Tamara, here's a question for you that's getting a little bit of traction. So how do you navigate collaboration with individuals you disagree with?
Oh, that's great. So as Trish read my part of my bio, I studied failure. So one of the things that I love about that is just because you disagree with individuals don't mean you have to be disagreeable. So when you're coming into collaborations, it really is about what are the guiding guidelines? What are the guidelines? What are the rules? What are the policies? What are the things what are the aspects, characteristics that's going to drive the collaboration that everybody agree upon, and then allow those to be the backdrop. Also, it is about looking at whatever the details are from an objective standpoint, not a subjective standpoint. How do we look at it and defer judgment, right? So deferring judgment is one way. So as opposed to saying, well, you know what, Trish, that was a really good idea. Cass, that really wasn't a good idea. Ben, that was a great idea. What I do as a collaborator who's steeped and trained in creativity, the number one rule is we defer judgment. So when we come into a space and we're doing some ideation, we defer judgment, because an idea is just an idea. It's the beginning, not the end. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you so much. I've got another question for you from the chat.
Yes.
Could you provide some insight into how you have balanced redrawing lines while also collaborating well with others?
Wow. That's a really, really great question. So what I do is, fortunately and unfortunately, it is a case-by-case basis. Just like when you're walking into a supermarket, no one experience is exactly the same. There are some aspects that are consistent. You know that you're going to go to the produce. You know that you're going to get your meats. You know you're going to go get, your eggs or whatever it is. It is a case-by-case scenario. So when you're talking about collaboration, first and foremost, why are we collaborating, right? Are we creating a program? Trish told y'all we had to put together close to 88 programs in 6 weeks, and that's real. We got t-shirts to prove it, right? So, okay, we're collaborating, and then let's say there are some new ideas that you might want to infuse because maybe something happened last year or last semester. Use facts, use data. Make sure when you're introducing the redrawn line or the redesign, have it be factual. A lot of times what I understand when I'm working with my executive clients in the coaching and even my scholars in the classroom, most times it's misunderstanding and it's lack of information. How are you supporting the redesign with factual information? So let's take, again, Trish and our experiences, Buffalo State and Weeks of Welcome. We realized that 80 programs wasn't necessarily the best way for us to offer extenuating circumstances that made the learning experience for new scholars the best. It was more about impactful experiences. So then we took 80 and we shrunk it down to 40 or 45, but that was steeped in data and information. The other thing that I will say when you're talking about redefining lines or redrawing them when collaborating, most people are operating from a space of emotion and not fact. It's probably their idea. So what we want from them is, okay, so say more about that. Okay, and why? It's called ladder of abstraction. Okay, why else? So then that way it makes sense. And if it's making sense, then maybe there are 2 or 3 different ideas that might work. But then what you do is you put it to the test. You put it out to whoever the audience is and saying, hey, in what ways, how might we do this? Okay. I hope that answers your question and give you some things to think about. I see a hand, Lindsay. I see a hand, Tamika.
Yeah, I just have a really quick question. So like we don't always start out in leadership positions, whether it be like in like a job or something of the sorts. If we want to get to the point where we can redraw these lines or things that we have issues with, how do we effectively get to that point? How do we be leaders while being followers, if that makes sense?
So that is a great question. First and foremost, Lindsay, you are a leader. You're the leader of you. You're the CEO of you. So it starts with you, right? You begin redefining, redrawing those lines for yourself. So what I tell my, again, clients, lead from where you are, right? You don't have to have a title. What did I say in the beginning? We don't need fancy titles. We don't need fancy degrees. Lead from where you are. And then what you want to do is look at the position ahead of you, the one that's under you, and the ones that might be on the side of you, and then begin looking at those positions and taking all of the things or the characteristics, the duties, the responsibilities, the things that really set your heart on fire, and think about ways in which you can incorporate them into your life, or maybe even go to that particular person where you're talking about how do I, become a leader and not necessarily in a position of leader, take on extra roles. Say, is it possible for me to collaborate with you on this particular project? I know this is coming up. The company is doing this. Is it possible if you need some extra hands? I'm interested in data. I'm interested in AI. I am interested in the work experience, the student experience. So immerse yourself in the positions or aspects of the positions that you are most in alignment with, because you don't want to, at this particular stage, be outside of your wheelhouse, right? Because then it's going to feel like work. The idea is find out, where is your groove? Where is your flow, and go there, and then ask for support. A closed mouth does not get fed. When you're able to articulate what it is that you're looking for, I think those are the opportunities that will present themselves to you. Now everybody is going to Lindsay, be like, oh my goodness, yay, Lindsay, but don't take it personal. Nothing personal about this. You ask the next person. No is not a no. No is on. Be dyslexic with it. Turn it. No is on. Tamika.
Hi, thank you so much for your talk. It was beautiful. Lindsay's question was actually pretty similar to mine. Mine was like similar, what to do if you're kind of in a newer role within your career in some sort of authority state, but you find that those in higher authority above you, student focus may not be their common goals. And so your goals don't necessarily align. Where you want to be student focused, they may not be. And of course, they're higher than you, but you haven't been in your position very long. So it was kind of similar to that, what tips you might be able to give when you find yourself wanting to redraw those lines or make a change or a difference, but realizing that you have very limited space to kind of maneuver in.
Yeah. And find your team, find your tribe. So you and Lindsay need to hook up, right? And it might not even necessarily be that you have to be on the same campus. That's where I say the collaboration, because when there's many that come together, right, the collective truly is the work. And when we have the collective, we're able to move the needle in ways where administration, those that are at the top, they're forced to pay attention. So force them to experience you, but do it in a way that makes sense. Do it in a way that is non-threatening, right? You don't want to come off as belligerent, right? All of the things, oh, she's too aggressive, often get that, am I aggressive or am I assertive, or am I passionate about what it is that I'm doing? I'm here because I believe in scholars. I believe in helping them stack the deck in their favor. So find spaces that are in alignment with what it is that you want to do, and then you do the work together. Because of course it's going to be hard if it's just you standing alone. You're over here in one corner, Lindsay over here in the other corner, Kirsten is here, Cass is here, Trish is here, Ben is here, I'm there, Liz there. Of course, patience is, like trying to make all of us come together in a space. Of course, try again, find your people, and then through that, the load is lighter.
To your point about not being too belligerent, we had a question from the chat. How do you know the difference between being confident or too arrogant versus pulling back and being too humble?
Wow, that's really great. You know what? That's hard because it is subjective, right? What I think is assertive, someone might believe is aggressive. But one of the things that I would say to you is think about your tone, right? And the ways in which you're approaching. And then think about the conversation that happened. So, and being certified in 7 Habits, Stephen Covey talks about first seek to understand, then be understood. So in what ways, how might you reverse engineer an experience? So let's say you had someone come up to you and say, you know what, Tamara, what you said to me was, very abrasive, and I really didn't like your tone, and I thought that it was very dismissive of my ideas, et cetera, et cetera. We have a rule when I was in corporate America, in pharmaceuticals specifically, when someone said something that was abrasive or someone said something that was still on our heart and minds in 24 hours, what we did was we asked them out for coffee, took them to have tea, right? The conversation. So when someone is saying to you that you're abrasive, you're aggressive, ask them, well, can you give me an example? I think a lot of times individuals graft to or hear things and then they take it and really don't understand or have any example of what that looks like. Or they saw something on TV and say, okay, well, all Black women are aggressive, all Black women are belligerent, or, whatever it is. Ask them to say, well, you know what? I'm interested in that comment. Can you say more? Can you give me some example? And most times they can't, because a lot of times they might just be saying something because they might be intimidated by your brilliance. They might not really understand you, or they might be thinking about, hey, this person doesn't seem to be approachable, but they never asked, right? So I take, and it's a lot of work. Let me say this. This comes from years and years of really understanding me. I take the approach of, I don't take it personal, but I ask the question, Riley, okay, so what was aggressive about my answer? And then how was my answer to the question any different from Ben's answer and his tone? So use an example that happened in the space that was similar to yours and ask the person to help you understand what they heard and what they received in your presentation. Because a lot of times it is about, again, not understanding cultural differences as well. So yes, I know we're over 3 minutes.
Tamara, my friend, thank you. I think we're all on the edge of our seats and, appreciate you being here. So I'm going to turn it over quickly to Cass Lucas.
Thank you, Trish. And thank you, Tamara. Oh my gosh, what a just way to start our national conference. We're so honored to hear from you. Your message of confidence and courage and collaboration, authenticity and inclusivity is just inspiring. And I think hopefully you can see some of the comments that are blowing up. They're blowing up my phone. They're blowing up everywhere. And we're just so grateful to have you here today and have this chance to speak to all of us. So on behalf of the National Council, I am pleased to present you with our national citation. So Mortarboard's first national citation was presented in 1973 to Congressperson Martha W. Griffiths for her role in steering the Equal Rights Amendment towards passage in the House of Representatives. It has been presented since that time to many outstanding leaders and believers in equity, advocacy, and education, like Congressperson Barbara Jordan, Dr. Maya Angelou, President Jimmy Carter, First Ladies Rosalind Carter, Barbara Bush, and Laura Bush, Surgeon General Antonia Novella, astronauts Dr. Sally Ride and Ellen Ochoa, Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, entertainers and philanthropists Alan Alda, LeVar Burton, and Mr. Fred Rogers, and human rights advocates Dr. Brian Stevenson and Saul Flores. We believe that you stand in their company, giving your sustained efforts to inspire change, expand impact, and create legacy. You've talked about working together to lift each other up and achieve more, which inspires all of us to live a life of collaborative and committed leadership and service. And because I did do some of my homework, I knew from your blog that you too have an affinity for giraffes. And your ability to accept that new perspective, one of elegance and gracefulness and multiple purposes, rather than one of weirdness or lacking swag, to really redefine your frame of reference, to redraw your lines, right, from one of negativity to one of pride, it just is so meaningful to me, and I hope, and so inspiring to all of us. So from one giraffe to another, I hope that you continue to take up space and leverage your experiences for the better. We hope that you will accept this tribute, which is accompanied by honorary membership in Mortarboard. So Mortarboard recognizes its members based on qualities of superior scholastic ability, outstanding and continual leadership, and dedicated service to the college or university community. The Mortarboard is a symbol of ancient honor and distinction. In the earliest universities, students adopted the clerical or monastic robes as a sign they were devoting their lives to the profession of learning. So we too wear a distinguished sign, the Mortarboard. In ancient days, students from many lands who spoke diverse tongues could meet on common ground by using the classic language of learning. So we, students in many universities and colleges, are bound by the three Greek letters, Pi, Sigma, Alpha, representing the ideals of Mortarboard: scholarship, service, and leadership. Article 2 of our national bylaws speaks to what our founders, over 107 years ago, sought to do as a national organization. We unite to form a national society whose purpose shall be to facilitate cooperation among our societies, to contribute to the self-awareness of its members, to promote equal opportunities for all peoples, to emphasize the advancement of the status of women, to support the ideals of the college and university, to advance a spirit of scholarship, to recognize and encourage leadership, to promote service, and to establish the opportunity for a meaningful exchange of ideas as individuals and as a group. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Tamara McMillan into Mortarboard leadership and membership.
Wow. I don't even want to start, because the waterworks will come. To say that I am grateful is an immense understatement. To know about all of the former recipients and just the tireless work from the Mortarboard National Board and the scholars, the advisors, the volunteers, talking about offering a wonderful, safe and brave space to take up space since 1918. It is just, it's dynamic, and I am truly at a loss for words. I thank each and every one of you for the work that you do, have done, and will continue to do. And as long as there is breath in me, as long as there is breath in me, I will carry this honor and I will do well by it. Thank you.
Thank you again, Tamara. We're so, so grateful and happy to have you with us now in our membership.
Thank you.
So,
looking forward to many more experiences.
Absolutely. You'll be welcome to every conference as alumni. We can't wait to see you over and over again.
Thank you.
So speaking of celebrating, throughout the weekend, we will take small moments to celebrate and recognize our 2025 award recipients. So without further ado, let's begin some well-deserved recognition.
Now we turn our attention to the Emerging Leader Awards, which recognize alumni who are initiated into Mortarboard as collegiate members, and within just 10 or so short years, have already distinguished themselves through professional excellence and community leadership. These individuals embody our ideals of scholarship, leadership, and service in inspiring and forward-thinking ways. We are proud to present the 2025 Emerging Leader Award recipients, all of whom are with us today. First, from the University of Louisville, class of 2015, Brant Coleman. Brant's unique path blends deep academic study, global fellowships, and meaningful public service. A presidential management fellow, he is also a trained underwater archaeologist and scuba diver, whose career has taken him from graduate studies in Europe to environmental archaeology work with the U.S. Forest Service in California. His work exemplifies a commitment to both discovery and stewardship. Next, we honor Kelly Hodeling, initiated at the University of Kansas in 2010. Kelly serves as Deputy Town Administrator in Wellington, Colorado, where she is known for her inclusive and effective leadership. Her work in civic engagement, women's empowerment, and small business development reflects a tireless drive to build stronger communities and more responsive local government. Kelly leads with empathy and impact, qualities that define her public service. And finally, from San Diego State University, class of 2021, Morgan Weed. Currently pursuing her Doctor of Veterinary Medicine at UC Davis, Morgan is already a mentor, caregiver, and community advocate. During the pandemic, she founded a nonprofit to deliver engaging science content to young students, and she continues to lead through research, volunteerism, and clinical practice. Her dedication to animal health and science education is truly inspiring. And now we have the opportunity to learn more about this year's recipients. Cue the video.
Hello, my name is Morgan Weed, and I am a fourth and final year veterinary student at the UC Davis School of Veterinary Medicine, and I am honored to have been awarded the Mortarboard's Emerging Leader Alumni Award. I just want to say thank you to this organization for supporting me throughout my undergraduate studies and now here getting my doctorate and beginning to start my career. And I think this is a time to recognize how the Mortarboard ideals are not just what we do, rather they are who we are. And I hope to continue to be the same type of student, the same type of leader, and the same type of person as I was when I began with Mortarboard and beyond. So thank you again. It's a true honor.
Hello, Mortarboard. My name is Brant Coleman. I'm originally from Kentucky, but I'm currently doing cultural resources management and archaeology work out in Northern California. I am a recipient of this year's Emerging Leaders Alumni Award. I went to the University of Louisville and engaged in Mortarboard activities there, where Dr. Jerry Williger was. So I'd like to give a shout out to him for all his support throughout the years. And thanks again to Mortarboard for this award. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kelly Hodeling, and I'm deeply honored to receive this award. I'd like to thank my peers and mentors and the Cusamet Alumni Network at the University of Kansas for their support in helping shape my journey, and to my family for their constant support. For over 14 years, I've had the privilege to serve in local government and help build stronger, more resilient communities. To all the students, I encourage you to get involved, use your voice, and share your talents. You have the power to create real and positive change. Thank you so much for this incredible honor.
The Excellence in Advising Awards are given to Mortarboard chapter advisors who have demonstrated a commitment to the purpose of Mortarboard and who have gone above and beyond in their work with the collegiate chapter. Nominations are submitted from current collegiate members, and recipients are announced annually. When an advisor has served over the top for their chapter, and when that advisor is nominated year after year for the Excellence in Advising Award, the National Council takes note. This year, we have 3 of our recipients in attendance. Congratulations to our 2025 Excellence in Advising Award recipients: Seth Barnes, the University of Nebraska-Lincoln; Dr. Loria Brown-Gordon, Jackson State University; Dr. Elizabeth Morrow Clark, West Texas A&M University; Dr. Julie Huff, Auburn University; Dr. Donna Lim, University of Maryland; Sydney Ryu, Endicott College. Please read more about them on our website.
Earlier this month, we announced our collegiate chapters and alumni award winners. Throughout this past year, we have seen many chapters innovate and find new ways to excel on their campuses. We are so thrilled to see so many chapters thriving and carrying on mortarboard traditions at their alma maters.
In addition to these awards, each year, Mortarboard honors one collegiate chapter that is developing its programming and increasing its presence on campus. The Freeman and Fox Most Improved Chapter Award. This year, we have 2 Freeman and Fox Award winners. Our first recipient has steadily increased chapter membership over the last 2 years. The chapter held a dual semester recruitment process, allowing students to join in either the fall or spring semester, which more than doubled their membership from previous years. The chapter hosted events like Coffee Cart and Alzheimer's Walk, Helping Hands Food Drive, and became a Blossom Express flower sale chapter. We are pleased to announce the first recipient of the Freeman and Fox Most Improved Chapter Award is the Catherine Moore Freed chapter at the University of Findlay.
Our second recipient has increased membership from 0 in 2022 to over 70 in 2024. Advisors and officers remained in close contact with the national office and region coordinators to ensure all deadlines were met, chapter activities were celebrated, and the chapter was visible on campus through events like jazz and coloring. Not only did the chapter hold spring and fall selections and create in-person tapping, but they also created a hybrid initiation ceremony model that involved campus attendees, families, and guests and national representatives. We are proud to announce the second recipient of the Freeman and Fox Most Improved Chapter Award is the blue and white tassel at Jackson State University. Congratulations, Jackson State University and the University of Findlay.
Great. It's now my honor to share more about our region coordinators. Region coordinators work directly with chapters as primary contacts within a specific region. They focus on engagement, building relationships, and helping chapters be at their best on campus. Each year, we recognize a region coordinator who goes above and beyond, not just in tasks completed, but in the spirit for which they bring to the work. This year's honoree has quietly and consistently made an enormous impact behind the scenes, fostering spaces where student leaders feel seen, supported, celebrated, and empowered. Known for offering steady guidance, uplifting others with contagious positivity, and never missing a beat when it comes to follow through, this individual models what it means to lead with heart and purpose. Whether mentoring fellow region coordinators or strengthening chapters' experiences, their influence stretches far beyond their region. It is my absolute pleasure to announce the 2025 Region Coordinator of the Year as Katie Sisilski from Kansas State University. Congratulations, Katie, and thanks for all the work that you have done for Mortarboard. All right, so now on to our next session. Over the next 2 days, you will spend time getting to know each other, other members of your region. You never know which strangers you will meet today. They'll be your friends in 30 years. On screen, you can see 6 regions. Please choose the breakout room that corresponds for your region. For example, if you're in Region 2, you will join breakout room number 2. A complete list of chapters, states, and regions can be found on page 20 and 21 of your conference program. The corresponding states are also listed in chat. Alumni and advisors, we both have 2 different spaces for you in your respective breakout rooms, which also can be listed in chat. After the region meetings, we'll take a quick break, but we'll see you back here at 3:30.